Honestly, when I look back at my career, one of the first things I always considered when working on IT projects was evaluating the existing processes for fundamental flaws to avoid throwing high-tech dollars at what were ultimately low-tech problems. In what ways can rethinking process architecture itself reveal that some AI use cases were never really AI problems to begin with? So I guess let's start this off with Sidney.
Yeah, this is something, Steve, that I think about a lot. And it really comes down to when we start rethinking process architecture. And really what that means is the actual design of how work, data, and decision flows actually move through the organization. We typically discover that what looked like an AI problem is actually just a process problem. And what I have seen is a lot of the AI use cases are really just born from frustration. So you typically will see an executive saying, we need a model to fix X bottleneck. But then once you start looking at that workflow and you trace it from end to end, you start seeing a lot of unnecessary handoffs, legacy systems, different approvals that require human intervention, and data silos. And all of that, those are challenges that are very difficult for a simple algorithm to fix or remediate. But once you re-engineer those friction points, meaning you're streamlining your data access, you're clarifying who's making the decisions, who is the point of authority, and then you're also automating anything that is deterministic, that your AI problem typically disappears or it starts to become dramatically smaller. So I would say process architecture really almost functions like a diagnostic lens. It really helps us to see what actually requires learning or prediction, so basically like predictive models, and what just needs better design and better accountability and less kind of friction points within the workflow. And that's where I believe the real transformation comes from, is not just adding artificial intelligence on top of a process, but really removing the inefficiency embedded into the process itself.
Right. And the old, everybody hears this is like, we've always done it this way. We don't want to change it. Well, yeah. How about you, Shalin? What do you have to say?
Yeah, Stephen, building off, Sidney's comments, one thing that we've observed is just how often businesses start their technology procurement conversations with IT or C-suite in isolation. Low-hanging fruit that we've seen in some of the research that we led with the World Economic Forum is actually starting some of those process improvement discussions with frontline workers who are oftentimes closest to the productivity pinch points. Leadership might identify what those pinch points are from their bird's eye view, but there have been many examples in lots of different industries where workers have identified solutions to those pinch points that may not necessarily have required AI or even a technology-oriented solution at all. Couple of examples that come to mind just to illustrate the art of the possible here is, Toyota's famous Kaizen continuous improvement culture led to a lot of really important innovations within the firm's approach. Task automation discussions were often surfaced by workers first rather than management. There are examples in healthcare, like Cleveland Clinic, where nurses were actually invited to identify their daily pain points in patient care. They identified what some of the challenges are, and then some of the solutions that surfaced from that same process ended up being a lot more cost effective, but also productivity boosting. In one example, they came up with this color-coded wristband system to better communicate patient risk factors between shifts. Big problem in healthcare. It expedited knowledge transfer. And that low-tech solution actually led to a great deal of productivity gains and job quality improvements. It led to decreased churn as well as cost savings from the point of the employer. So I think there's a lot that businesses could be doing by way of learning about how frontline workers could help identify some of these process improvement opportunities that may not need AI solutions at all.
Right. It's been amazed at the number of projects that I've seen that haven't really included a lot of input from the people who actually do the work. And it's amazing to me that, I don't know if it's arrogance or just lack of time or interest. It's amazing how often that users aren't taken into account when developing new projects. And Liz, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, those are really interesting examples. I love a simple solution, an elegant solution. To me, it is all about the choice of tool being right for the job. So just to echo some of the sentiments that these guys have already kind of pointed out, I think technologists love technology, and AI is the new kid on the block and everybody's excited. So I think sometimes we think, I want to build an AI tool instead of, I have a problem I want to solve. I think it's human nature. It's very natural to be excited. But for me, I like to start, what am I trying to achieve? What does that process look like? Where can we get efficiencies by leveraging AI for what AI is good for? And that's not for everything. So I think, maybe where we are today with AI in general lends itself to a more moderate application of it, and maybe not as many places as we'd hoped. But in fact, good process engineering can't be denied. The example of the colored wristbands, what a great, easy solution to a huge problem that is both effective and low cost. And I think we can all say that AI is maybe neither of those.